All right, welcome back to launching a new coaching offer with ads. The plan is to spend $50K over the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to document the results. So if we look at the main KPIs then, we're still on track for our projection. So far, as of this morning, we've spent 9.8K. And the projection was around 9.6. So we're pretty much on target projection-wise. Cost per lead, so we spent 9.8K. We've got so far 2,200 leads, $4.41 cost per lead, which is cool. You can see though that the average cost per lead is going up. And that's obviously just as we're spending more quickly, we have to try and spend 50K over the next few weeks. If I didn't have to rush and spend this much money, I'd take it a little bit slower and ensure that we keep the lower cost per lead. But obviously I don't have that luxury. So I'm trying to balance spending the budget, forcing myself to spend the budget, but also trying to get the best cost per lead possible. So they're kind of like the high level numbers. I don't think there's anything else that interesting to report. So we'll dive into the ad account. So these are the campaigns, that I've got. Whoa, I don't know why my lighting is so yellow. I mean, I know the lighting in this room isn't very good, but yeah. Anyway, that's what happens when you film late at night and you have to use the in-house lights. Anyway, so I've launched quite a few different campaigns since the last time that I filmed the video because I let it run over the weekend. I'm going to get rid of this campaign. This is just a reminder campaign. So basically, all of the leads that basically apply to become part of this free program that we're promoting with the ads, we retarget them and we make sure that they go inside of the Facebook group and stuff like that. So after like the first week, we start running those reminder ads. So we've got just under 2 weeks left until the launch of the program. And then we basically run retargeting ads for the next 2 weeks, reminding them like, hey, it starts on this date, make sure you've done this, make sure you join the Facebook group. Because obviously getting as many people into the group as possible, that's where the money is made, because that's where the engagement is, and that's how we can continue to communicate with them and engage with them and make sure that they obviously go through the program, and then those types of people will obviously have the highest chance of buying the offer when we make it. So where do we start? So let's look at the initial test that we were doing. So initial test, we were doing basically, okay, let's test some ads with lookalikes and interests. And let's test that against just doing like broad open targeting, and let's see which one performs the best. Now in the beginning, the lookalikes and the interest performed the best, but over the last few days, they've started performing a lot worse. And this is actually completely normal, and it's half going to plan almost, even though I know it doesn't look like it, because our KPI we want to hit is a $5 cost per lead. And as you can see, we're way off these with these two campaigns. The interest campaign's getting $8.06, the lookalike campaign's getting $7.91. So they're all acting pretty much the same. So I'll just go into this one and I'll explain kind of like what's happening and why stuff's not why the performance has dropped. Because if we look at, let's go here. Yeah, if we look at the start of last week, we started running ads on the 18th. So if we go here, we had some stuff that was going pretty well. We had these ad sets that were just getting leads for like $4. So we had some stuff which was working pretty nicely. Let's go here. Yeah, see, it was $5 to begin with. After the first couple of days, it was pretty good, right? $5.65. So they started pretty well, but then over the last few days / the last week, the cost has gone up. And the main reason why is because after the first few days of these running, and because it's only on a $20 a day budget, it means that the ad sets can't get out of the learning phase, which means Facebook isn't getting enough spend and it's not getting enough data to fully optimize the ad set. But this is kind of going to plan. So typically the approach that I take usually is that I use these smaller testing ad sets. And what's going to happen is I can test different audiences and different ads very, very quickly. And I basically assess the data over the first few days. But what happens is I can test the ads and I can get feedback on what works and what doesn't. But then eventually, when it doesn't exit the learning phase, the performance starts well, but when it doesn't exit the learning phase, performance starts to drop. And that's okay, because I'm not looking to scale with these campaigns. I'm not looking to spend a load of money with these testing ad sets. I'm just testing the audiences and the ads. And what happens then is I'm going to take the best performing and I'm going to put them into scaling campaigns and I'm going to let them scale. And the idea with those scaling campaigns is that they have the budget for it to exit the learning phase. So I'm just using this campaign for data. And usually what does happen is that performance will drop off eventually because the individual ad sets won't exit the learning phase. But again, I'm not going to scale to spending 50K inside of this campaign. I'm going to spend a couple of grand over the next couple of days. The next week and a half. And then that's it. I'm just using this campaign to test the audiences and the different ads. So that's like the strategy with this. So it's very normal that this second half of the launch, the performance of these ad sets drop off. Now, all I'm going to do is just slowly start to turn them off as the cost per lead gets too high. But it doesn't matter because, again, I've already got the data that I need now to start scaling them. So tomorrow, I'm going to take what were the best performers within this campaign, and I'm going to launch it into a scaling campaign with a higher budget still at the ABO level. When I launch it tomorrow, I'll show you inside the campaign so you can know what it looks like. But that's kind of like the main thing I wanted to stress with these two, the interest and the lookalikes, the more granular targeting. It's kind of normal that they would stop performing because they're not going to exit the learning phase. But again, I'm just getting that data so I can scale them. So that's what's to report on these two campaigns. Now, the rest of this stuff, let's tackle them individually. So ignore the top two for now. Let's have a look at these three. So these three are basically, well, I'll go into one of them. This is a US campaign. This is a Canadian campaign. And this is a T1 campaign, which is basically means T1 advertising countries minus Canada and the US. So the UK is Australia and then different European countries. Now, what's super interesting, and I fucked up, and it was a nice little reminder to myself of what to do with these types of campaigns. So you'll be able to see here, let's make this smaller so we can see more data. You can see right now that we're way above KPI with this campaign. You can see that overall, let's have a look. For this month, I think it was the same. Yeah. Overall, we're at $8.89, which is way too high. But let's have a look at the first day that I launched this campaign, which I think was on this day. Was it here? There we go. I think so. Because if we go back to this one, yeah. So I launched this on the 22nd, and look at this. Straight out the gate, cost per lead is $4.31. Obviously, that's great. Spending $200 a day, straight out the gate, under a $5 cost per lead. But look what happened for the next day. $11.65. And the day after that, $9.97, a little bit better. $10.36, a little bit worse. $10.94, pretty much the same. So it's going down a little bit. It's $10 there. And today it's really bad, 31. But we're on US time, so we've still got a lot of the day to go. Anyway, my point is that what happened on this day, how did it go from getting $4.31 to then the next day just skyrocketing up? Now, it could just be the way it worked, but here's what I fucking did. I messed up. I think I went into this campaign. I went into one of these campaigns. Maybe it was this one. I think I went into this one and I started turning stuff off. Because at this point, these two were working pretty well, the top one and the bottom one. And I was like, oh no, I don't want this one to get any spend. What's happening inside of here? So I turned these two ads off because I was like, well, this has spent $5 and it's not got a lead, and this has spent $24 and it's only got 2 leads. Like, that's not good. In theory, that's correct. But this, as you can see, we'd only spent $193. This is a $200 CBO. It was less than 24 hours in, and I already went in and started fucking playing around with it because I was worried about the cost per lead. That was like what I shouldn't have done. And I don't know if that, I obviously don't know exactly if that was the reason, but it seems pretty crazy that this whole campaign went from getting, an incredibly good start for $4.31 to then just the next day go to $11.65. Like, fair enough if it went from like $3-4 to like $5 or $6 or $7 or $8, but to like, what's that? Nearly like 3x, 4x in price. And it's because I fucked it up. So, because I was messing around with it. So my biggest thing is with these larger CBO campaigns where it's broad targeting and you're kind of, letting the algorithm do its thing, please don't go in, even if it's like this and you're like, oh my gosh, this one's getting leads for $4. This one's getting leads for $3. This one's getting leads for like $8. Let's turn it off. Don't mess with it. If you're within, like, I would even say to go as far as like 2 to 3, like even 4 days in, because you're just going to mess up your results. And I believe that's why this campaign messed up, and I've not been able to recover it since. Like it's not even gotten close to the $4. So that was an annoying little reminder for myself that you shouldn't really mess with this stuff. So yeah, that's like the biggest thing for those 3 campaigns. So for this Canadian one and this US one, I did go in and I've been messing around with it, and I've been kind of like fucking around, turning stuff off, turning stuff on, launching new ads within the ad sets. And I think I've honestly hindered the results. If we look at, when was this campaign? I think this hasn't been affected as bad. If we go back to, I don't even know when I launched this one. Yeah, so this one on the Friday. So I launched, because this was the start of the campaign. So I launched this on the Friday. You look at this, and I probably did go in here and fuck around with this as well. I probably like turn this off. And you can see here, so I probably already went in and start messing with this, but it is $8.80 there. The next day, $6, which is good. And $6.20. So it's kind of like evened out at about $6 now, which is maybe just kind of like where those ads will sit, right? But maybe if I'd just left it, it would have like evened itself out a little bit more. With this one, I kind of have left it a little bit, but then again, I did go in and turn some stuff off the other day. But I think I only started turning this off after a few days. I didn't go in straight away and start turning it off because the overall ad set was, the overall campaign was performing pretty well, which is fine. That's $3.26. I have increased the budget a little bit, so I've gone up to $2.50. I'm not going to go crazy on these UK, Australia, European countries because most of this market is going to be in the US and Canada. I'm going to spend a little bit though because it helps getting the average cost per lead down, and we do have some customers in those countries, but I don't want to spend 50% of the budget just because we know that most of our conversions come from the US just based on the offer and time zones and stuff like that. So that's that. So those like the big learning with these 3 is that if you are like with the lookalikes and the interest, you do more granular stuff, you can get a little bit messy with it. It's a bit messy. You can interfere a little bit more, I found. But these big, larger ones where Facebook's really taking control, you just got to let them sit for a little bit. You can't go in and start messing around so much. So that brings me on to this campaign, which is basically a secondary CBO campaign. Now, again, I probably would have waited to launch these ad angles in that first CBO for the US, but I'm in a rush to spend the budget, so I just created a secondary US CBO campaign. I would have, again, combined them both, but I was in a bit of a rush to spend the budget. So let's have a look how this one's worked. When did I launch this one? Probably not that long ago. Yeah. Thursday. Should probably know this. This is why people put the dates in the campaign naming convention. I don't know because I just don't. All right, so you see this one, 12:47. I've tried to keep this one running a little bit. It's gone from 12 to 11 to 10. And then today, what is it? 5. See? And I've not even touched this whatsoever. So Everything's still running just as it was. I haven't gone in and turned anything off, I don't believe. And again, it's gone from first day, 1247 to today so far, 596. Again, it probably won't hold for that. That's a pretty dramatic drop to go from 10.8 to 596, but it's pretty promising. So we're probably going to have another good day here where, you know, the cost per lead is just going down. And that's just me just leaving it. So, and again, I could turn this stuff off. Like, this hurts a little bit, seeing a $17.26 to $15.17. But, you know, we're 3 days in now. So after tomorrow, I'm going to let it run for today, especially because today's performance is really good. I think after tomorrow, then I'll probably go in and start making some changes. Realistically, I'll probably turn this one off. Well, I'll see what the data looks like. There's no point saying what I'm going to do because it depends what the data looks like overnight. But yeah, obviously, this stuff is way out of whack. So I'm going to do something to these two campaigns, whether, you know, inside of this one, I turn off losing ad variations and launch some winning ones. And then I might even just turn this ad set off completely altogether. Let more of the budget go towards these two, and we can see, you know, try and get this one out the learning phase. But you can see this one is active because this has got over 50 leads in a 7-day period. So, you know, if we look at today, it's interesting. This one is actually performing least, but $7.66. It's still outperforming what it's been for the last couple of days anyway. So overall, it's looking pretty good. That cost per click is a little bit high, which is a little bit worrying, which is basically the main reason why the cost per lead is so high. But yeah, anyway, so that's that one. And then this final one up here. So this is basically, and again, I'm trying to test different stuff. So like part of doing this series is number one, to make my client money. That's always the biggest priority. But number two, I want to test different ways to use the campaigns to kind of show people like if this works, if it doesn't work, and kind of just document the whole thing live. Because I don't think there's enough of this stuff. There's a lot of people sharing stuff that is kind of after the fact, and I do that as well. You know, if something's worked, then I will go through and be like, hey, this worked, and show you what worked. But I wanted to do this live and actually show you in real time different campaign structures, different ways of running their ads. So you can kind of see like what does work, what doesn't, and how you can make different structures work and how you treat different campaign structures. So basically the setup of these CBO campaigns that we've just been talking about is basically there's one angle for each ad set. And within each ad set, there's different ad variations. So it could be, you know, depending on the angle, it could be an image, it could be a video, and it could be different pieces of the copy. But they weren't like, it wasn't what Facebook call flexible ads. So they were just one specific copy with one specific video or image, and then we'd make a variation of that in the next ad. Now, this CBO campaign here is different. So we're giving Facebook even more control. So we've kind of like progress from super granular to letting Facebook do everything. So again, these lookalikes and interest, this is obviously us taking control. We're choosing the targeting, we're choosing demographics, and we're also being specific with, okay, this ad goes with this piece of video or image, right? This piece of copy. Then these CBO campaigns, we're giving Facebook full control to choose the targeting, so it's broad, open targeting, but we're still telling them, hey, this piece of copy with this image or video. Now, with this top one up here, we're doing flexible ads. So basically, once we go in here, each one of these is an angle. So we got angle 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then within each of the ad sets, we've just got one ad, but it's a flexible ad with a couple of different pieces of copy, a couple of different headlines, and then also we basically got there's 3 ads, within each ad set, and each creative is its own ad. I'm not explaining this very well. So if we go in here, so basically we've got 3 ads. This ad has got 1 image, and then it's got 2 pieces of copy, 2 headlines. This ad has the same 2 pieces of copy and the same 2 headlines, but it's got a different image variation, right? So they all follow the same angle or the same concept, and the copy variations and the headline variations are the same, but for each ad, there's only one creative and the very small variations of each other. So this one, for example, you won't be able to see the image because I'm going to blur it, but this is like more personal branded. So it's not like a product image or it's not a video. It's just like an image of our client outside in nature, basically. And that's kind of like the angle with that. This one is the same video. Oh, so this one's actually different. So, because we actually have limited videos for this client. This one is the same video in all of the ads, but slightly different copy variations in both. I think that was the outlier one, because this one is, again, the same as the initial one, which is same 2 headlines, same 2 pieces of copy in all the ads, but the image is slightly different on each one. So the goal is basically, again, just to give Facebook a little bit more control in terms of at the ad level of choosing which piece of copy and which headline it matches with the ad. And then we're just trying to find which creative is the best. And it's going to work very similar to the other CBO campaigns where I'm just going to let it run for like 3 to 4 days without touching anything. And we're going to see the results. I launched it this morning, so it's not going to go no spend. When I first logged on earlier today, this was at like, I think it was at much lower cost per lead. So it's gone up a little bit, but again, it's a $500 CBO campaign. I think when you give Facebook more control, you have to increase the budget to give it more spend, to kind of give it more room to figure out what the hell's going on. So I've put it at $500. That's also partly because, again, I'm in a rush to spend money because we got to spend $50K over the 2 to 3 week period. And, we're supposed to be, not this week, we're not needing to be scaled, but by Friday, we should be in a very healthy position to spend all the money, and all of our scaling campaigns should be active because then we've only got 1 week until it goes live. So this is a US CBO, and then this one down here is a Canadian. So it's basically just a complete duplicate of this campaign, but obviously just tagging Canada. And again, maybe in another world, I would put them together in one campaign, but I found that the 2 countries do react differently to different ads. And then number 2, again, I'm trying to scale as quickly as possible. So splitting it out into 2 campaigns allows me to spend double the money. Depends on the results, I suppose, over the next few days. I could create maybe a UK campaign that we could scale like this, and an Australia one, maybe a European one. That would be a very easy way for me to scale the budget. Because if we look at, I'm due to go up tomorrow, I'll start spending $2K a day, but then I'm due to go up to 2.5K, 3K by the end of the week. So I got to be pretty quick and decisive with this stuff. So I'll see what these scaling CBO campaigns do over the next few days. And if these still continue to work, then I'll start increasing the budget. The lookalikes and the interest, I'm going to start scaling them tomorrow as well. So I'm going to be well on track to hit my budget. Another test that I was thinking about doing, I don't know if I will do it, is basically changing the destination of these ads. So right now they're going to a lead form to generate the leads. We've got a landing page ready. We also have like an application form ready as well. And I might test running ads to those rather than the lead form. Again, it's going to help me scale. But number 2, that would be another cool test to do with this campaign to see, is the lead form going to produce cheaper leads, or is it going to be the application form or the landing page, for example? So that's it. Spent 10K so far. So what's that? It's like a fifth of the way. So we got a lot more to spend, but we should be well on track. Don't like to spend too much money far out. Right now, we've kind of figured out what ads are working, what's messaging is working. So now it's just putting the right campaign structures in place to allow us to scale over the next couple of weeks. So that's it for the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.